Hey Geek Family, we are back and we finally have our movie review for Padman.
It's about damn time.
I'm Nathan.
Troy.
We're the only two that got together to watch this.
Yeah.
And I know this was a review a long time in the coming. I know that a long time ago we checked out the trailer for the movie Padman. And if you guys remember, it was a very awkward situation.
True story about an Indian man who created sanitary pads for women.
And I
For
personally got a lot of hate in the comments for just being myself, for not being comfortable talking about certain things, because growing up we didn't talk about it. It was like mom and sisters, that was something they dealt with and everything. I didn't, as a guy, didn't really deal with it and everything. Switched to the other side of the family. Rachel and her family, very open about it. So of course Troy and Trinity and them, they're very open-ish to talk about that stuff, and they know it would make me uncomfortable, so they love
So sometimes
to
we do it
pick
on purpose.
tease on me a little bit. But
Yes.
I'll say I've gotten a little bit better at it. It doesn't.
Yeah, we're helping him build the resistance.
It doesn't get at me like it did before. And the movie Padman, and a bunch of people said I had to watch it if it got a certain amount of likes, which it did. It blew it away, and I've just been procrastinating on watching it. So me and Troy sat down today, checked it out. So I just want to say right off the bat, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So did I. It looked pretty good.
I thought it was a really, really good movie. It stars Akshay Kumar. He plays the real gentleman's name. I'm probably gonna mispronounce it. Arunachalam Murugananantham. It says the real individual the movie is based on, and it follows basically his wife when she's having that time of the month. She had to go stay out in basically a little balcony area for 5 days, in a lot of pain, and he kind of saw the shame and everything, and his wife was basically using a dirty rag for it.
Yeah, which can cause infections. Yes,
and because Akshay, he's very innovative. He comes up with these cool little inventions for his wife, to kind of help her out. And so he decides to try to help. What was it? How expensive the pads were?
55 rupees.
Yeah, 55 rupees. And so he buys her some, and she's like, no, that's way too expensive. You got to take them back. And so there was, that's what we want to say, is when he goes to buy the pads.
Yeah, because the guy's he's trying to be very subtle about it.
Yes.
Because it's not normal for a guy to go there to buy some.
Yeah.
And so he's handing him in under the counter.
It's wrapped up in newspaper.
And he was like, "Are you selling me marijuana or something?"
I thought that was actually delivered that line perfectly. He's like, "You selling me marijuana or something?" Because he's holding it under the table area like that, and the way he said that was very funny. But yeah, his wife, she's like, "No, take it back." So he tries to take it back. He can't.
No refunds.
No refunds. So he has him with him. He goes back to his workshop. Well, one of the people he works with gets cut. When this happened,
I thought me and Dad both thought it was a kid.
We both thought it was a little kid, because you hear something happen and you hear somebody going ah. And I was thinking, oh man, they must have had a kid there working, maybe helping clean it up. No, it's a grown dude. And I was like, whoa! I told Troy, I thought that was a kid. I thought that was a kid crying. Troy got it too. And all they had were dirty rags. Well, actually happened to have the pad with them.
Yeah,
bam,
used it.
hits the pad, puts it on the gnarly cut.
It was pretty deep.
And so they got him to the doctor, and the doctor's like, hey, whose idea was it to use this pad? And the guy that was with him, who helped take the injured man, basically it was actually it's basically, he was crazy for using that, right? And the doctor's like, no, that was very smart, because it's very clean. And so that's when Akshay realizes, he talks to the doctor about it. He realized how the doctor kind of tells him how a lot of women come in and with infections, and so how some of them, what they use, leaves, ashes, dirty rags, and he says some of them actually end up dying from the infections and stuff they get. And that freaks out Akshay's noodle. So he's looking at the pad, and he's like, why? He goes, he's breaking it apart. He's like, this costs this much to make.
And he's like, it's only cotton and
Yeah.
Like a rapper.
Or so he thought. And so he goes and makes 5 of them himself. Gets them all wrapped up, gives them to his wife, and she's just mortified over it. He's like, look, he goes, those are the ones called 55 rupees. This costs nothing to make. And no, because it's all the movie. Everything sets all this up as being very shameful. Like actually, his mom. She's like, no, you gotta stay away from his wife. You know, she's not clean right now. You stay away from her. You can't touch her and all this stuff during this time. And he's basically like, why? I'm trying to help. And so she tries to give them to her. She doesn't want to use them. She's very embarrassed over it. Everybody keep in mind, this is a review coming from a movie from 2 guys. We don't go through that every month. So just keep that in mind when we say some things coming up. So, but she does eventually try it out. It doesn't work. She has to stay up all night cleaning her sari and stuff. And so he felt really bad about it. So he ends up going back and making it again. And then the same thing. She tried to use it.
Didn't work.
It didn't work again. And I think this is where because she's getting really upset that he's trying to do all this and help her out. And I think at this point that he's already had the thing with his family too.
Yeah, because he had to
because he'd originally taken it to his sister to try it.
Yeah.
Because she's the eldest. Well, her son got a hold of it and was waving it around, and it caused this huge uproar. His sister was getting on to him, his mom, talking about how they're all ashamed now of him, and all this stuff. His wife is getting super upset.
And they're all going to leave, too.
Yeah, like his 2 younger sisters, they're out of the house because they can't live the shame in the village and everything. And actually, he's just like, I don't understand. He's like, I'm trying to help. He's like, I don't want my wife and my family, people I love and care about, to get sick, because he's freaked out that they're going to get sick and die. And so coming from our point of view, I'm like, why is everybody being so mean to him? Like he's literally just trying to help you. It's coming from a genuinely helpful part of him. He wants to help them out and everything. Yeah. But they are all looking at it just like, no, it's just shameful. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be talking about it. And again, like I said, we're 2 guys talking about it, so we don't go through all that, so I don't know. And again, this is coming from 2 Americans too, so I don't know the stigma here versus over in India or in any other parts of the world too. So, but that's just coming from our point of view. You're feeling really bad for Akshay's character because he's just trying to help. Promises he won't talk to anybody else about it. He won't make him anymore. And then he happens to overhear his boss saying, "You've got to test out your own product before you give it to the customer." And so Akshay's like, "Oh," he's like, "No, that's what I got to do." He's like, I promised my wife I wouldn't talk to anybody or do it for her. He goes, but I didn't say anything about not me trying it out myself. So they gets this. They end up getting some blood. I'm assuming it was animal blood or something. He puts this anticoagulant stuff in it. He makes his pad thing again. That's in the trailer where you see him putting the women's underwear on with the pad. He's got the blood line in there, and he's thinking it's working. So he's riding the bicycle home. Oh no! Looks down, just blood all down his legs. He hops off his bike. He's running. It's like, I gotta get to the water. And of course, like as soon as it happens, immediately everybody's like, like we know, right? Hey, that guy's got blood. He's got blood. Like basically, so many people come out of the woodworks. It's like few people saw him and they're like, hey, he's bleeding. And which I think they legitimately thought he was injured. It looked like maybe he had injured his crotch area or something.
Or like maybe he got stabbed right here.
Yeah, he's running. He's
going down,
jumping over, and then he's like, yeah. He jumps in the water, splash, and his wife and family and everybody shows up, and he's in there swimming, and you see the little bit of the bloody water, and she is just beside herself. And so the whole the village and everything, they're trying to figure out what to do. Some people think he's possessed, some thinks he's being a perv. Oh, he's talking dirty to girls. I've seen him being unfaithful because he was trying to get some nurses at this nursing school to try him out and give him feedback how it's working. No, he's possessed, and then his wife's brothers show up and going to take her away. Well, boom, they do. They take her away. She leaves with him. He's just like, no, I'm going. I'm gonna figure it out. So he leaves the village. So his mom and nobody, because they're all just giving him crap like crazy. Again, at this point, I'm feeling bad for Akshay. It's his.
Yeah, because he has good intentions.
He's got really good intentions, and that's what one of his friends show up. He's just like, he tried to tell everybody no. He's trying to do something good, and his wife's leaving. He's like, why aren't you? He's like, fight for your wife. And so he ends up leaving. Ends up finding out that it's not cotton that they use. It's What's it
It's
called?
like
Something filament.
cellulose fiber.
Callulose.
It's like CALLULOSE.
Yeah, callulose or callulose fiber, something like that. So
Yeah, which
he
what
ends
is
up,
that? It's like
I don't know, some sort of like fibery. So I don't know exactly what it was. They kind of explain it comes from certain trees. Well, he ends up getting a sample of it. And it looks like he thought it was just cardboard, but you got to scrape it up or mulch it up and stuff to get the stuff. So he eventually starts getting his thing together, and so he kind of tries to figure out what to do. Well, he's helping out at this house for this professor. He's trying to figure out how to make the best one. So his professor, being a jerk, at one point wakes him up and he's like, hey, I was thinking about you making those pads. This is what you need. And it's a website for before I forget, he's talking to the kid. The kid's dad's the professor. He's kind of like their housemaid type person, helping the kid with school and stuff like that, cleaning everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't talk to your dad. And he's like, he's always, he's super busy. He's like, yeah. He goes, he is. He goes, but you can use this to figure out all your answers. And it's Google. He's got Google pulled up. The guy's like, Google? So he tries to get him to type all this stuff in there. And he types in what he wants, and it doesn't give him a response fast enough. It actually looks like he's going to grab the monitor and shake it. And I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, because he doesn't understand.
Yeah, he's just getting kind of, because this all takes place around 2001, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because he said it's 2001. Because when he's talking to that one lady, he's like, it's 2001, why are you still talking like we're in the 20th century?
Yeah, that's right. And so anyway, the professor wakes him up, shows him this website, this American website showing this pad making machine. It's a multi-million-dollar machine. He's like, hey, all you have to do is buy this machine. He's like, I don't have that kind of money. And so basically he shames them and like, he's like, so you know what you should do is get a better job or get more jobs so you can go buy your wife the pads yourself instead of being a fool and trying to do this yourself. Well, that clicks something in him. He's like, you know what? He looks at the machinery and he sees the sections of it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? You're right. The next morning he's getting ready to leave. He's like, you're right. I'm not going to make pads anymore. He goes, I'm going to make the machine that makes them.
Yeah.
And boom, it's like he says that, drops the mic, walks out, high fives the kid.
This is where his creativeness and his
creativity,
his smarts when it comes to welding things and building things.
Yeah, he was very good about that.
Comes in handy.
Yeah, because back in his other job, this one guy kept messing up stuff, and his boss even said, he's like, how come when you make something,
it lasts 10 days?
It takes 10 days, but when his name's his character's name is Lakshmi. We've been saying Akshay Kumar, but his character's name is Lakshmi. It's not the real person's name, but Lakshmi. How come when Lakshmi makes it, it lasts 10 years? So he's very good at doing this stuff. So he figures out each component, and he's like, why do I need to build this multi-million-dollar machine when I can just build these 4 simple things?
Yeah.
And so he ends up getting a loan, gets it together, starts making it. But again, people aren't very receptive because it's coming from a guy trying to get people to try these out. He's trying to get them to figure out, am I making it good? Am I making it right? Mm-hmm. Well, fine. This is one part of the movie that's sort of like, oh, okay, it's like a cliche in the movie. There's one kind of a well-to-do girl. She ends up hitting her time a month on her way home. They're trying to find a drugstore. They just happen to see Lakshmi walk in. And like, hey, they stop. Do you have drugstores? Like, girl problems. He's like, oh, I got 2 pads right here. He hands them to her. And they're like, oh. So they kind of go off. Well, I guess he sees the name of the hotel wherever they're staying at.
Yeah.
He's waiting for him out the next morning. She comes out. He's like, how did it do?
She's freaked out. She's confused.
Basically, he's like, is it good, bad? She's like, it does what it's supposed to do. He's like, super happy. He's like, it did. He's like, the greatest thing I've ever heard. And so that inspires him. So movie doubles down. He keeps wanting to make it. She comes back to him. She figures out where he's at, and she's like, you made all this. So he shows him the equipment and everything. And she and her father, they're very open with this stuff. They're not like where he's come from his village, where it's all like, it's looked down on, like it's shameful to talk about and everything. It's like, no, she was raised by her dad, and so he had to help her growing up and everything. So it just wasn't this stigma of, oh, it's shameful that all this happened. And so they go through all this big thing. They end up telling about this innovators. Yeah, it's sort of like a contest of all these like inventions and stuff.
It's like
is that like a convention thing? But
yeah,
I can't remember.
I think it's for like cotton stuff and all that.
Yeah, and so they end up going. he puts his shows the ease of his machine, and so they go to pick the winner, and they say one person's name, and he thought that was the winner, so he's all bummed out. He leaves. She's like, "What's going on?" Her dad comes back out. He's like, "What are you doing?" They just announced the President's Award. Lakshmi won, so they can bring in there. And you see Ahmadabad. He made an appearance as I believe as himself in the movie, a cameo. So they announced the winner and everything. So he gives him the award, and he's all super happy. Boom! He's on newspapers as winning this award. The village he came from, his old the guy who gave him the money to loan to buy the parts for the machine and everything. They're all happy. Oh, yay, come back. So they come back, and he's like, show us your invention. None of them had any idea it was for pads.
Yeah, they didn't read the whole article.
Yeah, it said rest of the story on page 9. Because he goes to hand this woman a pad. He's like, now you don't have to worry about getting, using anything bad or getting sick.
They were having to pay 55 rupees.
Yeah, and she's like horrified, like shamed, like, oh my God, like I can't believe you just handed me this in public. And everybody's mad at him again. Yeah. And that just takes him back down to the zero again.
Yeah.
But then, what's her name? Pari?
Yeah, P-A-R-I.
P-A-R-I. She shows back up and kind of helps him. She takes his stuff, goes out, and sells some of the stuff. Like he thought he was just going to try to hand him out. Well, she comes back. He's like, "See, I told you it didn't work. They're all backwards here. They don't understand." And she's like, "No." She's like, Not only did I give them all away, but they paid me. Yeah. She goes, they just needed a woman to tell them about it. It's because it's just
embarrassing for them to tell a guy and for a guy to do it.
Yeah, so coming from a woman talking about it, it went over better. And so now, boom, now she's helping him out. And then they're selling more and more, and they bring another woman in. She starts helping and just starts growing and growing and growing. Yeah. Fast forward, they keep building and going from village to village because she originally said, "Hey, you've made this machine. You can patent it, sell it for millions, and boom, you got it. You're gonna be a millionaire." He's like, "Well, then the pad they'll just end up costing just as much as the other ones, and that was pointless. My whole point of doing this was to keep them cheap, making them affordable, so the villages and all that women there could use them, because they were saying in the movie like 12% of Indian women use them.
Million.
Yeah, and so." They start going from village to village. Boom, she helps him out, and then you can see they start getting closer and closer together. And then he eventually gets called to the UN because he gets on the news and everything just kind of blows up. And so the UN asks him to come to New York City and give kind of like a speech. So he goes there and he kind of gives a speech. It was really cool, really well done.
Yeah.
And then his wife, which she must have never signed the divorce papers. She ends up finally calling him, and it kind of tears Lakshmi a little bit because I think he started to have feelings for this girl because she helped him out so much, but he still loved his wife.
Yeah. So now it's like he has to choose one.
Yeah, and she kind of chose, like Perry kind of chose for him because she's like, she was talking to her dad when they left. He's like, "Why didn't you tell him you loved him?" It's like, "Well, we're too different. He's rural, I'm urban." All this stuff, and they kind of, and then on the airplane, she kind of tells actually that she's like, "Look, we're just, well, that was before on the airplane. We're just different and everything." And then when they go to leave, separated at the airport, he's like, "You were my first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth."
Yeah, he's like crying as he's leaving. He went back. I think he went back to his village or where he came from.
Yeah, because he called and they're like, "Hey, they want to celebrate you. They want to, celebrate you." Your big thing with the UN and everything, and so this village that he was really going to get, they elders and everything wanted to kick him out of, now wanted to bring him back, celebrate him.
Yeah.
And so they do. They bring him in. They're bringing him in on this like float style thing. So yeah, then everybody there, even his wife's brothers, he sees them and everything at the village is all super happy. You see his wife. She comes down. They end up hugging and everything, and you see. They just kind of walk in together, and that's the end of the movie, and it shows at the end of the movie, during the credits, it shows basically now his mom and sisters and all of them are all helping him, and it just kind of showed where they were now all of accepting all of this, and his wife is now helping him. She's holding this basket with the pads in them and stuff, and handing them around, and it's kind of helped kind of spread that where it's not it shouldn't be so shameful to kind of talk about. It's something that's natural part of life, sort of thing. And it kind of all comes together. And then at the very, very end of the movie, it shows a picture of the real gentleman.
Yeah.
It says the real Padman. So, and you find out, at least in the movies part, I'm out about it, he kind of gave him the name Padman because he's like, in America,
they have
you've got Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, India, got Padman. We kind of just did a rundown of the movie, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It did have a couple moments, like I said, like the cliche movie moment where you got the girl who just happens to be this whole overarch part that if she had not happened to have that time of the month happen right then where they didn't have anything for them and just happened to be driving down and see Lex walking.
Yeah, in the end,
I actually enjoyed it. It was not. I only passed out 4 times during the movie, so it wasn't too bad. Troy kept slapping me. No, I didn't at all. It wasn't. When
the scene came on where he had tested himself, that's when Dad started passing out.
I passed out constantly during that scene. I'm like, is that blood?
He'd wake up and go, oh.
No, I didn't. But yeah, I actually enjoyed it. Going into it, I was thinking like, all right, it'll probably be a little informative. All right, I kind of get it. Maybe. No, I was pretty much engrossed from start to finish. I thought it was very well done. Actually, did an incredible job in the movie. The cinematography I thought was good. Had a lot of really nice, pretty shots in some of the moments. But the film looked good. Story-wise, I thought it was good. I thought it was well put together. We did look up a little bit about how accurate the movie was in real life. I think one article said it was about 85%. Like the movie, what happened in the movie is about 85% accurate, as true as for the real life. So that's not bad. That's pretty good. It's a film, so it's got to take some liberties there. But overall, though, you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie, even though there wasn't really any like action and stuff in it. I still thought it was. I still thought it was a pretty good movie. Yeah,
and like we said, I kind of thought maybe the movie was going to take a little bit of a twist, and he wasn't going to get back with his wife. He was going to end up going with Karen, but no. And I'm kind of wonder if that wasn't some liberties the movies took as far as something that may not have happened in real life, is that whole love interest part of it, per se. But I didn't look too deep in the article about that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked it, and. Like we said, this is going to be a Akshay Kumar heavy week. We just seen the video from Houseful 4 on Monday. You got a review for Padman today. And then our last video coming up on Friday will be a song from Padman. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Let us know what you guys thought of the movie. And I enjoyed it. I liked it. Yeah. So thank you guys again. Sorry it took so long to get to this one in particular. And it's been a while since we've done a movie review, but we enjoyed it. But once again, thank you guys so much for all your love and support on the channel. You guys are awesome. Love y'all.
Yes.